Section 8.1, Radians and Arc Length. In this section, we are going to discuss the definition of the radian, the relationship between radians and degrees, converting between radians and degrees, and using radians to compute arc length. So let's begin. We usually think of a circle in terms of degrees, right? With 360 degrees being the whole circle, 180 degrees would be the half circle, and so on. Well, radian measure is just a different way of measuring the angles in a circle. Radian measure is just a different unit of measure. Just as we could measure a football field in yards or feet, we can measure a circle in degrees or radians. I always think it's kind of interesting to discuss what a radian is, and so notice the word radian sounds a little bit like the term radius, and it turns out that a radian has a close relationship to the radius of a circle. Let's define the radian. A radian is the size of the central angle that subtends or cuts out an arc of length 1 unit on a unit circle. In order to explain this a little more fully, let's take a look at this diagram. So if I drew a unit circle, so imagine the circle goes through 1, 0, 0, 1, negative 1, 0, and 0, negative 1 as the unit circle that we talked about back in chapter 7. So if I look at the circle, what I've done is I've gone out a radius of 1 unit along the x-axis, so I'm out here to the edge, and then what I've done is I've gone up that same distance, that 1 unit distance, as an arc. And so if I could straighten this out as a piece of string, it would be the same length as this one is here. And then I connect it back down to the origin. And so I have this 1, 1, 1 situation. Not a perfect triangle, it's just a wedge of the circle. And what we define is that the angle that makes is 1 unit, or 1 radian. What's really interesting is if I had not used a unit circle, if I'd used a circle that had a radius of 5, if I did the same thing, if I took 5 as the radius, went along the circle for 5 units, again as if it were a rope so that I could bend it, and then came back to the center, the angle would still have that same measure. The two circles, their angles would be identical to one another. And so the radian actually is made out of the concept of the radius. So literally, if I take the radius, bend it along the circle, and connect back to the origin, that angle will always, always, always have the same measure, and that's what we define as 1 radian.